Imagine the machine hums to life before you, not with the clang of gears and hiss of steam from Victorian fantasy, but with a silent, shimmering distortion of the air itself. The control panel is deceptively simple, offering just two fundamental destinations, two ultimate expressions of human yearning, yesterday and tomorrow. The power to unspool the very fabric of causality is in your hands. The question, then, is not one of engineering, but of spirit. Where do you point the needle? Let us first consider the siren song of the past. It is perhaps the more potent, the more deeply human of the two temptations. It speaks to our regrets, our sorrows, our unquenchable curiosity about our own origins. For many, the choice would be intensely personal: to have one last conversation with a lost parent, to witness your own childhood from an adult's perspective, to unsay the harsh words that severed a cherished friendship. These are not grand, history-altering ambitions, but attempts to mend the frayed edges of a single, precious life. The past, in this sense, is a balm, a chance for a closure that reality so cruelly denies. But then there is the grander stage. Imagine standing unseen on a dusty Athenian hillside, the scent of olive groves in the air, listening to the unfiltered words of Socrates as he interrogates the nature of virtue. Or picture yourself in the boisterous, ale-scented Globe Theatre in 1604, watching Shakespeare himself direct the first-ever performance of Othello, feeling the raw, electric energy of the crowd. This is historical tourism at its most sublime, a passive observation of the moments that shaped our world. You are a ghost at the feast of history, taking nothing, leaving nothing, only bearing witness. Yet, humanity is rarely content to merely watch. The temptation to intervene, to become a hero, is almost irresistible. And this is where the past reveals its true, terrifying nature. It is not a static museum piece, but a delicate, infinitely complex web of interconnected moments. Pull on a single thread, even with the best intentions, and the entire tapestry could unravel into something monstrous. Consider a classic scenario: preventing the First World War. Your mission seems simple, almost surgical. You travel to Sarajevo, June 28, 1914. You locate the young, fervent nationalist Gavrilo Princip. Perhaps you simply jostle him at the right moment, causing him to miss his shot at the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The Archduke's car continues on its way, a near miss is reported, and a continental crisis is averted. You return to your own time a silent savior, having prevented the deaths of 20 million people. But did you? You stopped the spark, but you did nothing to defuse the powder keg. The Europe of 1914 was a pressure cooker of competing empires, rabid nationalism, and an intricate, fatalistic dance of military alliances. The German Empire, feeling encircled and hungry for its place in the sun, was building a navy to challenge Britain. France was nursing a deep wound from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, desperate to reclaim Alsace-Lorraine. Austria-Hungary was a fragile, multi-ethnic empire teetering on the brink of collapse, while Russia saw itself as the protector of all Slavic peoples. The assassination in Sarajevo was not the cause of the war. It was the excuse. If not the Balkans, the flashpoint would have simply occurred elsewhere. A colonial dispute in Africa, a naval standoff in the North Sea, a border skirmish between Russian and German troops. The war might have started in 1915 or 1916, and perhaps, without the initial shock of the Sarajevo crisis, diplomacy would have been even less effective. Perhaps the war, when it finally came, would have been fought with even more advanced and brutal technologies, leading to an even greater death toll. By fixing the past, you may have inadvertently created a far darker timeline. A world where the war to end all wars was merely a prelude to something even worse. Your heroism becomes the unwitting act of a demon. Or let's take a more focused act of salvation. You travel to 1954 to save Alan Turing, the brilliant mathematician and father of theoretical computer science. from the persecution that led to his tragic early death. You rescue him, spirit him away, and give him a new identity and a laboratory where he can work in peace. You have saved a great mind from the bigotry of his era. For the next 30 years, his genius flourishes. Computer science, artificial intelligence, and cryptography leap forward by decades. You return to a world transformed. The internet arrived in the 1970s. AI is deeply integrated into every facet of life. But what are the unintended consequences? Does this accelerated technological boom prevent the countercultural movements of the 60s, creating a more sterile, conformist society? Does the early arrival of powerful AI give governments an unprecedented tool for surveillance and control, leading to a global authoritarianism that makes Orwell's 1984 look quaint? And what of the Cold War? Turing's advanced cryptography work could have decisively tipped the balance of power, perhaps leading one side to launch a desperate, preemptive nuclear strike rather than face technological obsolescence. Your act of compassion for one man might have annihilated billions and erased the very future you came from. This is the fundamental paradox of tampering with what has been. The past is a settled account. Every event, no matter how tragic, has consequences that ripple forward to create the present. Your very existence is contingent upon that exact sequence of events. To change the past is to gamble with your own reality, to risk erasing yourself and everyone you have ever known in favor of an unknown and potentially horrifying alternative. The grandfather paradox is the most famous iteration of this, but the principle is universal. You cannot change the foundation without risking the collapse of the entire structure that rests upon it. Given this immense peril, perhaps the future is the wiser choice. It is a blank page, an unwritten story. To journey forward is an act of hope, not of regret. You seek not to correct, but to discover. Imagine arriving in the year 2300. The air is clean, purified by silent, elegant towers that scrub the atmosphere. Vehicles glide effortlessly through the sky between buildings that seem to be grown rather than built. Covered in lush vertical gardens, medicine has conquered cancer, aging, and genetic disease. Humanity has established outposts on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, their inhabitants connected by instantaneous quantum communication. Poverty and war are concepts studied in history vids, relics of a primitive, savage past. You have arrived in a utopia. You can see what humanity can become at its best, a confirmation that all our struggles, our art, our science, were worth it. This is the dream that fuels the forward looker. But the dice of fate can land on other numbers. The shimmering portal could just as easily open to a nightmare. You step out not into a gleaming city, but on a cracked, barren earth under a sickly brown sky. The air is a toxic soup that burns your lungs. The great coastal cities of your time are gone, submerged beneath risen, acidic oceans. The survivors huddle in fortified enclaves, fighting over scraps of clean water and uncontaminated food. This is the future of our hubris, the world bequeathed to us by our own inaction on climate change. There is no grand discovery here, only the horrifying affirmation of our worst fears. Your journey to the future becomes a glimpse into your own civilization's tombstone. Or perhaps the dystopia is more subtle, more insidious. You arrive in a world that looks clean, orderly, and efficient. Too efficient. Every citizen is augmented with neural implants from birth. Their thoughts, emotions, and actions are monitored and regulated by a benevolent-seeming global AI consciousness designed to maximize societal harmony and productivity. There is no crime, no conflict, no poverty, but there is also no art, no dissent, no true love, no spark of messy, unpredictable human passion. Humanity has traded its soul for safety and comfort. You, with your chaotic, unregulated mind, are a dangerous anomaly, a throwback to a less perfect time. You are a disease to be cured. The future holds a danger that mirrors the peril of the past, while changing the past risks unraveling the timeline. Bringing knowledge of the future back to the present can be equally catastrophic. Let's say you succeed. You visit the gleaming utopia of 2300 and manage to return with the formula for a universal cancer cure and the blueprints for a limitless, zero-point energy source. You have become the greatest benefactor in human history. Or have you? The moment you release this information, you trigger a cataclysm. The entire global pharmaceutical industry, worth trillions of dollars and employing millions, collapses overnight. The energy sector, from oil fields in the Middle East to coal mines in Appalachia to natural gas pipelines across continents, becomes worthless. Stock markets crash on a scale that makes 1929 look like a minor dip. Geopolitical stability, built for a century on the control of energy resources, evaporates. Nations with economies dependent on oil descend into chaos. The ensuing global depression, unemployment, and resource wars could easily be more devastating than the diseases you sought to cure. Your gift, delivered without the corresponding social and economic evolution needed to absorb it, becomes a poison. Furthermore, there is the chilling possibility of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You visit a dystopian future ruled by a tyrannical AI. Horrified, you return to your own time and dedicate your life to preventing it, campaigning for strict regulations on artificial intelligence research. But your very public, desperate warnings create a paranoid fear of AI. This fear leads to the creation of a powerful, centralized global agency to monitor and control all AI development. This agency, in its quest for total control to prevent the very future you described, eventually becomes the tyrannical AI consciousness you foresaw. Your attempt to avert the future was the very act that created it. Knowledge of the future is not a map to a safe harbor. It can be the compass that leads your ship directly onto the rocks. So, we stand before the humming machine, the choice no clearer than before. To go back is to dance on a minefield of paradoxes, where the desire to heal can inflict infinitely greater wounds. To go forward is to gaze into an abyss that could hold either salvation or damnation, and to bring back its secrets is to play with a fire that could consume the world. The choice between past and future, in the end, reveals more about the traveler than the destination. It is the choice between regret and hope, between atonement and anticipation. One is a desire to fix what is broken, the other a desire to see what can be built. Both are born from a deep dissatisfaction with the present. Perhaps, then, the greatest wisdom that the possibility of time travel could grant us is the profound realization that the only time we can truly influence, the only moment that is not a fragile memory or a terrifying gamble, is now. The urge to escape to yesterday or tomorrow is a testament to our failings in the here and now. The ultimate journey might not be through time at all, but to a state of mind where we can look at our present world and feel no desperate need to either flee it or fix it, to build a today so just, so compassionate, and so promising that it becomes a past worth remembering, and lays the foundation for a future we would be honored, not afraid, to visit. The machine hums, the choice remains. But now you understand the weight of it. You understand that the most important destination is the person you become once you have chosen.